Broadcast button, and we are rocking and rolling. What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and I'm grateful and honored to get to host these episodes with some amazing honey badgers that we have in our community. And this episode 97 today, is going to be probably one of at least one of the most timely conversations that we've had. And I'm super excited to have Lauren Taylor on, and we're going to dive into the fully virtual business model, including, the virtual appointments, showings, how to keep your pipeline moving in these current times. So Lauren, say hello to the Honey Badger Nation.
Hey, Honey Badgers. I hope you're all happy, healthy, and safe, guys. So I actually want to do like a disclaimer for myself, because I think that as we're talking about these things, everyone's coming from different parts of the country where there's different restrictions. So if I say something that is beyond your restrictions that you're able to do in your city or town, make the right choice for you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy. Not only is every state a little different, but every county is a little bit different. So you guys are in your own planet out there in California. And so like the northern part of the state versus the southern part of the state, and even counties within San Diego. So you educate yourself on what you can and can't do.
That's like the tough part right now as like a trainer, right? Is that we're speaking to so many different perspectives of what people can do just based on where they're at. And it's so different right now. So keep that in mind as we go through these. Implement what you can, which is hopefully super helpful. And then, but definitely keep the other stuff in your pocket for when restrictions lift, because the fully virtual, going completely virtual it's a methodology you won't want to go back from. I promise.
Love it. So Lauren, give a little context, a little background for everybody tuning in that, might not be aware of you and kind of where you're coming from with this conversation today. Our Honey Badger Nation is growing so fast. And so like it, there's so many.
Absolutely. Just give a little context. I think I always tell my story before real estate because I think it's very interesting. Anyone who follows me know this. I started in finance in 2008. My license day was the day that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac went under. So just know that like when I'm advising you to have these conversations, like I started in a really tough climate with really tough sales conversations, right? And that really trained me of how I wanted to run my business when I got into real estate, coming from a place of education, coming from a place of service versus coming from a place of sales, mostly because, and I think we're all facing this right now, right? The uncertainty in the market. I wanted to be able to sleep at night as things turn. So because I lived and I breathed on the other side of that. So I transitioned into real estate. I started I think I was licensed in 2014, broke into the top of the San Diego market relatively quickly, focusing on military relocation, where I started working my fully virtual business. I think one of the benefits of working with relocation clients is that it forced me to overcome obstacles that local agents didn't have, right? I had to overcome the obstacles of space, time, and proximity. Otherwise, it was going to hurt my pipeline. And before I ran things fully virtual, we would have clients that could only see a house on a Saturday when they were in town for 12 hours, and we would pack them full, right? And then as the technology started to develop, we really found that we could give people the traditional house hunting experience through virtual showings that allowed them to make more confident and better decisions for their families, right? Because there's a lot of limitations when you can only find a house in 12 hours. Like, what if the home I love went pending 48 hours ago, right? There's a lot of limitations there that you don't really see until you're in it, that some of you guys are kind of seeing right now, right? And it was really through that process that forced me to start adjusting how I was approaching my clients and taking it to the fully virtual model, right? So fully virtual lead generation through organic social media tactics, conversion through education, or engagement through education, and putting myself in the position to be the expert through the social media platforms, then using the virtual showings as a conversion tool. So not just a engagement tool, but actually getting people to write offers, open escrows, because they've had the same experience as someone who was doing it in person, and they felt so confident about their choice. So, I think one of the biggest misconceptions right now. Well, okay, so to continue on the background. So in 2017, I built a software for virtual house hunting. I sincerely came early to the market with that one, right? I was Inman News's first runner-up for most innovative agent, which I found to be amazing because I was like, awesome. This is normal, right? Like, why isn't everyone doing this? But evidently it was not normal. And I found out very quickly as we started talking to agents about the benefits of virtual showings, and everyone's like, yeah, that's great. Maybe not right now. As you can imagine, during like the last 30 days, that conversation has changed pretty significantly. But I think the exciting thing about what's happening is that those of us who have been practicing this for a long time, who have developed the best practices around both selling and buying virtually, we've kind of hashed out the pathway enough to be able to give you guys the tips to move forward very quickly and to keep things moving. So I now run, 2017, I dismantled my team, went full into coaching. I coach about 130 agents across the country, 130 different markets. We've closed about $1 billion in business in the last 2 years using the fully virtual system. So if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, that's great, Lauren, for these markets, but it's not going to work for mine, I'm telling you, I have not found a market it doesn't work for yet, because people want convenience. People want to access things when they want. They want to be able to binge watch. They want all of the things that they're getting from all their other services that real estate just hasn't offered yet.
I love that. So let's go to the starting block. And you know, for somebody, I think you know, we're doing a lot of the things. We're trying to figure it out along the way. But you know, for somebody's like, man, you know, Lauren, I've got a blank slate here. Like, where do I start? Like, let's try to really unpack and give some actionable items to everybody tuning in that they can immediately clear the whiteboard. Hey, these are the key principles. And then you can build on top of that.
I probably, if you take this one single thing, and this actually should carry out in your business anywhere else. But there are two types of people in this world. There are people that you know, and there's people that you don't know. So if you took this time over the next 30 days to just focus on one single thing, was to increase the level of awareness from people who know you, you will be successful, right? So if 100% of the people in your town knew that Lauren Taylor existed and Lauren Taylor sold real estate, how successful could you be? We look at this like with Bravo, right? So I have a good friend who worked with the Bravo team. And they, prompted them, say, hey, you should expect that your business is going to grow about 40% on the back end of things. So you need to be ready to scale. Why? Because of no other reason than increased awareness. So I think right now, one of the biggest mistakes I'm seeing from agents is that they're trying to jump into business with people too quickly, right? We're trying to pull people through the pipeline because it kind of suits us. We need them to move through the pipeline in order for us to be able to exist. I get that. But there's two steps that we're missing. Number one, we can't just get into business with people we don't know. They first have to have an awareness that we exist, right? So if you spend extra time during this time to put yourself out there on a more intentional level on social media, LinkedIn, across the board, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, all of these platforms that give you a wonderful window to the world that can easily be operated within the four walls of your home, right? Then you will be doing your business justice. So to wake up every single day and to at least focus 30 minutes of your day on growth or increasing the amount of people who know you exist in the world should be a top priority right now.
Yeah. I think a lot of folks, they're it's like a one-trick pony when it comes to the content game and creating that awareness, right? They're either all in on Facebook or they're all in on Instagram or hey, maybe they're still just trying to build via email. So it's like, got to kind of diversify on those platforms.
So you do, but you don't, John. I would totally argue you on that, because I think the average agent, look, you don't have to do everything. You need to do the right thing. You need to do the thing that works for you and your business. I don't know if it's possible for the average agent to be a Facebook maverick and be a LinkedIn maverick, be all these different things, right? One of the things that we talk about, I'm running a training next week that's like a 5-day, 1 hour a day deep dive into this, but we talk about how you can reuse the content, right? But ultimately you have to have the one tool to be able that you feel comfortable converting on. So people always ask me, well, Lauren, like, where do I drive them? It's like, well, where do you have the greatest level of conversion, right? So I'm a Facebook Live person. So if I'm going to do Facebook Live, I'm going to download my Facebook Live. I'm going to upload that live onto YouTube. I'm going to upload that live onto LinkedIn, and I'm going to drive everyone where, right? And that's, I think, one of the missing gaps that we
Universal
have.
call to action.
Yes, exactly. And that's, I think, one of the missing gaps that we have with the average agent is that where are you driving them that you have the greatest conversion strategy, right? Is it like my agents all use Facebook groups? Like I am a Facebook group conversion guru. It's a weird thing. Everyone laughed at me 3 years ago when they said, you're not gonna make money off Facebook. I have agents closing $500,000 a year from my Facebook groups. It's just a weird thing I can do, right? And I can teach people to do. Other people, it's like, give me a phone. Get me on the phone and I can close them. Get me in a text message conversation, I can close them. Get me in person, I can close them, right? But you have to know yourself well enough to where that conversion happens and make sure that all of those growth, right? Well, there's two types of growth tools. Number one, increase awareness. These are people who know I exist, right? So now they know I exist. Now I'm in front of them. Now maybe I've friended them. Maybe I've LinkedIn them. Maybe they're in my pixel, whatever it may be. Now there's a second level of awareness needs to happen. It's not just that Lauren Taylor exists. It's that Lauren Taylor is an expert that can help me, right? And that's where education comes into play. So making sure that we're releasing content that is helpful and valuable to our consumer. And the biggest mistake, there's tons of the biggest mistakes, guys. Just watch me enough and I'll tell you a million of the biggest mistakes I see. But the biggest mistake that I see from agents is that they're scared of sharing value on those videos. They're scared of sharing actual value. They think that sharing that value dissipates their value. Where in reality, meaning like if I give it to them, they're going to go to another agent and they're going to use it, or then they won't need me and they'll use it themselves. Where in reality, by sharing our value, we're actually increasing our level of value in their mind, right? So I just 100%. Encourage you that when you're working on your engagement, right? When we're working on putting out content that then separates us not only as Lauren Taylor, but Lauren Taylor who's an expert who can help you buy or sell a home in your local market, that it really is value-based content. It's those tough questions that you maybe don't want to answer, but having those honest, value-based conversations or value-based content pieces is extremely important.
100%. And I don't think there's any debate there. I think you and I are saying the same thing. And I loved how you broke that down and getting comfortable on one location, but multi-purpose, utilizing it on those other channels to get that message, but driving them into one where you feel the strongest. And, like you shared, man, if you're solid inside of Facebook groups, drive them there, wherever you're solid at to be able to convert.
And knowing like what that equation is, right? I'm a big believer in like the formula. So I can look at my agents, and because I teach them all the same formula, it's easy for me to see like what's disconnected, right? So for you, if you say, hey, okay, I'm going to dive into this fully virtual, right? I'm going to, number one, I'm going to execute growth and I'm going to get more people into the universe that knows Lauren Taylor exists. And number two, I'm going to work on engaging people. And what does that actually look like, right? I think we talk about some of these big words like engagement and then, it's like, what the hell does that mean? Right? And it's like, I'm going to tell you what it means right now. It's going to mean that you have a checklist where I'm going to go Facebook Live, then I'm going to download that Facebook Live, then I'm going to upload that Facebook Live to YouTube, then I'm going to upload that Facebook Live to LinkedIn. And that means I'm going to drive everyone back. Then I'm going to stay current on my Facebook stories. And I'm going to download my Facebook story. I'm going to upload it to Instagram stories because it's the same formatting, right? It means, and having that checklist of, okay, if I do this once a day, right, these 10 things, Facebook Live, check, 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 check. I have met my engagement goals for the day. And having that measurement of success is extremely important, especially in times right now when measuring progress, right? We're talking about branding here. We're talking about long-term tools. You'll get clients who want to work with you immediately. But if we look at that flywheel effect, that momentum of moving people forward and working with you, the longer you do it, the more successful it is. So you need to have that measurement of success.
How important is consistency in this process?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Consistency is everything. Everything. I tell you, if you want to be successful in real estate, you need to do two things. You need to be consistent, consistency and longevity. You need to be consistent for the longest period of time possible. You don't have to do everything. You need to do the right thing, right? But you also need to be able to measure success so you see progress. And the nice thing about running things virtually is that it's really easy to measure success. I can say, okay, that Facebook Live reached this many people. And actually tracking those metrics. So for instance, the agents who run fully virtual programs, it's easy for them to say, for every 10 people who enter my program, I sell a house. For every 10 people who enter my program, I make $5,000, right? So then the question becomes, how much do I want to make on the back end and how we trace that back? And I think that sometimes if you're not tracking those metrics in every aspect of your business, that's when we get caught up in feeling we have to do everything versus just doing the things that are returning well for us.
I got one other question for you, just as we kind of transition out of this awareness and branding phase. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is the battle with a lot of folks, a lot of agents in their head, is that, you know, they don't believe or, you know, how do I know my content is good enough?
That's a good question. I would ask. I mean, I think that sometimes we think too hard about it, right? We don't ask our audience what they truly want to hear, and what they truly want to learn about. And there's a great book. It's called Ask. It's legitimately about asking your audience about how you can best serve them right now. Right now, if we talk about increasing awareness and we talk about branding, right? There's not a whole bunch of people who are coming to you right now. It's like, how do I buy a house right now, right? There's a portion, right? But there's another portion who are really caught up in what's happening. For instance, I was talking about my agents yesterday, and she said that there's now a law in, I think she's in Michigan, no, Illinois, where you can't bring kids of a certain age to, into the grocery store, right? And as someone whose goal is to increase awareness of the fact that I exist and the fact that I'm a helpful and useful part of my community, of which that I help build and sell houses, right? What, opposed to running out, so who does that actually impact? To me, that says that impacts single parents, right? So I'm not a single mom, but let's say I am a single mom, right? And I have 2 young kids at home. Now I'm not allowed to bring my kids to the grocery store, right? The first instinct I think so a lot of our agents get to, where it's like, I should run out and I should go buy that person groceries, is an unscalable solution where you're putting yourself at risk, number one. But if you created a resource that was like the top 10 delivery services, food delivery services, and grocery delivery services in this area for single parents, elderly, all these people who are being impacted who shouldn't be leaving their homes right now, how quickly do you think you could get that to be spread as a resource within your community that actually helps people, right?
I love that.
So
that's a great
really
method.
It's not about creating content that helps you buy or sell houses. It's about creating content that helps you become more not even needed, but embedded in the fabric of your community as someone who cares about your community outside of just buying and selling.
Yeah, helping solve problems, right? That's really going on in the mind of the consumer and just in general in your community to be able to.
That's a great example. So if you're struggling with what content and what engagement you should be engaging content you should be creating right now, literally go to your sphere of influence right now and say, hey, what are you struggling with? Like, what's your biggest obstacle right now? And create. You don't have to be the one that solves that problem, but you can be the one that creates the solution that solves the problem. This is not the time to go fishing for everyone. This is the time to teach our sphere of influence how to fish.
That's great. I love that right there. So let's kind of transition to kind of the next step here, right? So we're awareness, we're helpful, we're engaging, we're creating valuable content. We've got our process. Now, kind of as we continue to map this out, what's kind of our next step?
So it mirrors each other on the buyer seller side. Okay, I'd love to focus on the buyer's side because I think we see more obstacles there, if that's okay. And then, but just know it mirrors itself. Sure. The conversation is just a little different. So now we have people who are engaging, right? They're looking at us like an expert, and at some point they are going to reach out, or we're going to reach out to them, right? We've piqued their interest. Maybe now they're seeing our call to action to get signed up for a list, whatever it may be. It's now time to deepen that relationship and really take it to the next level, right? So this is usually when most of you are like, hey, let's go grab coffee and let's talk about your situation. And we see a lot of preconceived obstacles as to why that should happen in person and why it shouldn't happen virtually like this. So I saw the limitations very early on because I am a mother of 3 and I have a 7-week-old son at home, and my husband's deployed 50% of the time, okay? So it was out of necessity that I'm like, I can't be driving 30 minutes or an hour this way. That's not an option anymore, right? Like, I can't be on the road for 2 hours a day. I'm losing 2 hours a day that I could be meeting with people. So to create a scalable solution of what we call a buyer consult, I call them money calls with my agents, where we actually get on a virtual call like this using Zoom, using FaceTime. It is extremely important that it happens in a space where they can see you, okay? Once you become more comfortable on video and you start putting video content out there, and I will say this, I've had honey badgers come up and hug me at like conferences and it's so nice to finally meet you, because then it creates a relationship. Whether you have a relationship with them or not, they've been watching you. They see you. They know that they can log in and watch the Shane Taylor show. They've been watching your life, right? That's my 4-year-old, by the way. He aspires to be a YouTube star. But it creates a relationship. So that cannot be built on the phone, right? And right now, I think the biggest leap of faith that you have to take is to say, opposed to setting up a time to chat with someone, is to say, let's set up a time where we can video chat, essentially, where I can get to know you and your situation a little bit better. I think the other benefit to that is that people can see you, number one. So they say a word's worth a word, a picture's worth 1,000 words, 1 minute of video is worth 1.8 million words. Why? Well, we can use this as an example. You guys are all watching me, right? Like, what perception do you get from me about how I can't stop moving my hands, about how my eyes shoot side to side, which drives me nuts on camera, right? You once you can see someone, you can really understand their communication style, and it will leapfrog your relationship forward. Also, for you guys, as in terms of sales, I want to be able to read that person's energy. I don't want the husband and wife be able to look at each other off the phone like, she's crazy, right? Like, no, I want to be able to see you guys do that so I can respond to it.
100%.
You can tell through body language if someone is comfortable with where you're going and if they're still on board. So it will save you light years if you can just get comfortable with that transition. And here's the key. Here's like the pro tip. It's not about what works in your business. It's about why it benefits them. So I always use all the cool kids. Like, traditionally, my clients would prefer opposed to leaving work early, opposed to, I don't know, catching coronavirus, opposed to, all of these things, opposed to having to get childcare or cleaning your house for me to come over late in the evening. They would actually prefer that we just jump on a video chat and get to know each other a little bit after you put the kids to bed. So tonight, do you think you could grab a glass of wine and we could get to know each other a little bit better? It's not about what works in our business. It is for us. But for them, it's about why that benefits them. Right? So the key that you need to link these people together to move them to the next step is why it benefits them. If you can focus moving people on the next step with ending it that way, everyone will be on board with you. And here's the other thing. This is also just how I run my business, right? So I'm not going to go outside my lines, and letting people understand that I'm the leader, I'm the expert here, and there's a way that I run my business, and it has proven results. So you hired me because you want proven results, or you're talking to me because you want proven results. So do me a favor and let's work within our system. Is kind of what we're also giving them confidence to feel as well.
Do you, so really, creating the process, right? That's exactly what it is, right? So we're creating this process. Now, from a branding perspective and making it visible, do you go as far as like labeling it, something that, hey, we're just pioneering this process in our market? Do you put your own label on it? Do you make it visual to get it to the consumer, the buyer, as when that time arrives to kind of, hey, here's how we do things, here's how we work? Or do you go that far with it? We
found across the board that, yes, you can speak to the fully virtual process, right? But as long as you just meaning you can brand it, you can do, I've heard people talking about like a virtual home buying program and a virtual home selling program, which is wonderful. I mean, it gives an overview. What I like to focus on with my agents is like actionable items, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, promoting a fully virtual buying business has not been proven to be an actionable item yet. I can tell you firsthand across the board, 130 markets across the country, saying I offer concierge virtual house hunting service is a proven actionable item. So if I say I offer concierge virtual house hunting service, right, to my clients, where you're hard at work and I'm hard at work for you, so you don't have to see homes that don't work for you and your family, right? This is what I do and this is why it benefits you. That people can draw the linear line back, right? And understand that, that of course we would meet virtually and they'll walk along the path with you as long as you can show them the value. So when we do a call like this, right, and I'm getting to know them, I will have, so moving into the next aspect, right, virtual showings, I will have 2 to 3 virtual showings queued up to show them what the experience is going to be like. And actually, here's like a pocket one for you guys. I had an agent here in San Diego that I coached who kept a portfolio of all of the new builds on his system, right? Wherever you're logging these virtual showings, and we'll talk about what the virtual showing actually is versus a virtual tour. And he would walk people through new builds. And he'd be like, let me just show you exactly what they look like and how it's going to feel. Usually we do, traditional, when you come to me looking for a home, you're looking for a traditional resale, right? But let me show you this new build that's down the street. So you can get an idea of what to expect with virtual house hunting. But not only that, you can tell me what you like and what you don't like, so I can better choose homes for you, right? So now we're increasing context, we're bringing even higher level value. First of all, if you are competing with any other buyer's agent at this point, like they're blown out, they're gone. Yep. Because no one is taking the level of service to that level at this point, or at least speaking as confidently as you will during this point. But he actually opened escrow on 3 new builds, because they're like, I don't need to see them, I want those ones. I want that one right there. Like,
well, it's also, I mean, I love the positioning, right? It's positioning you as that true expert advisor and not just an Uber driver that's just opening doors, right? You are adding so much more value.
Don't even get me started, John. It's all about bringing value back to the buyer side. Like, I'm so pumped that all these companies have pulled out right now. Like, this is our time. Like, if we just band together and everyone pushes into virtual methodology, like, there will be no space, because right now our consumer is wondering, especially on the buy side, what do we do for them, right? So by saying, hey, well, you're hard at work, I'm hard at work for you, and you're not going to have to see homes that don't work for you, and that means that you're going to see 85% less homes, and it's going to take 85% of your less time for you to find the home that works for you. Now we're able to bring the value back to the buyer side. Now let me tell you what's going through every single agent's head that's listening right now. Okay, Lauren, but I still have to go to the home. I have to bring a 360 camera. I have to bring my camera, and I have to create this virtual walkthrough, right? And so it is a live streaming video. I would suggest you do it in 360, right? You can get a 360 camera for under $150 at this point. It creates a much more higher level experience than a flat camera. It gives you better dimensions. The experience is just unparalleled, period, right? So the first thing I get is, Lauren, but that means I still have to go to the house. Yeah, it's like not fucking magic. You have to go to the house. You still have to work. Sorry. But here's the beautiful thing. You're going to have a much better return on your time, because an in-person showing takes about 20 minutes. It's either 20 minutes of you telling me why you love this home, why we're going to write an offer. It's 20 minutes of you telling me why you hate this home, and me being like, can we move on then? Because we're definitely not writing an offer, right? Right. But we're still having that experience together. Here's the thing. When you do that, when they don't like the home, it is creating a negative experience with your client. Period. Whether you chose the home or they chose the home, they are having a negative reaction, okay? Whether it's showing or not. And it's subconscious, it's under level, but it is, I know I wanted to see this, but maybe she should have known that it wouldn't have worked for me. It's like, dude, I tried to tell you it wouldn't work for you, but you wouldn't listen, right? So, and when I take them there in person and they have that negative experience, now and you guys feel it as the day goes on, right? 4 or 5 homes that maybe don't work for them. And it's like, they're looking at you like, Yeah. Whereas if I provide them 4 to 5 homes that don't work for them on virtual showings, they're like, whew, thank God we didn't see those in person. Thank God we lose Lauren, right? So it takes what used to be a negative experience and makes it a positive experience. But the return on investment of time is so much greater, because as you dip your toes into virtual house hunting, you're going to realize a couple things. Number one, don't do FaceTime. It's a waste of time, because you're using something that's finite and it's gone when you're done. Do pre-recorded video always, because what started to happen is I would go to the property, I would create it for the Johnsons, because the Johnsons said they were interested in this property, and they'd be like, nah, not for us. I'd be like, okay, what other 10 people in my database can I share this with that would help them understand why they should get on a call with me like this, so they can see what benefits I offer like this, right? Yes. And the neatest thing started happening, that it wasn't the first family who bought that home, it was the second family who bought that home, who literally, legitimately from that video wrote an offer and moved forward with that property, right? So now we've scaled the buyer side of the business, scaled it in the way that we couldn't scale the listing side, right? So we can reuse these small assets, or that we've scaled the listing side in the past, but now we can reuse these small assets, these small videos, to service our business in other ways that will keep people moving forward in the pipeline. Ultimately could be the reason they open escrow with you.
I love that. So kind of, you mentioned the camera. Is there one specific that you kind of recommend? And then like, what does that process look like, right? You get in the property, like Like,
yeah, let's talk about best practices. So for cameras, okay, first of all, number one, I have a full video. Actually, if you friend me or message me on YouTube, or not YouTube, no, Facebook. You know, remember talking about being good at what, yep. Not being good at everything? Facebook. Okay. So message me on Facebook. I'll send you the video. I talk about what you should look through on your 360 camera. Super happy. I can even share it in Honey Badgers. But the biggest mistake, right, that I see is that people go for a higher processing speed. It's like, I want a 5K camera because I want to give my clients the greatest experience possible. John, do you know what is the highest processing speed that people interact and engage with online?
I have no clue.
1080, period, 1080. Across the board. It's relatively impossible at this point, or it's not plausible, or isn't happening often enough that people are experiencing these videos in anything higher than 1080, whether that's on their mobile, whether that's on their phone, or mobile, whether that's on like a tablet, whether that's on desktop, right? So if we can only get people to experience it in 1080, 98% of the time, why are we investing $1,000 into a 7K camera? It makes no sense. Right? Gotcha. So I actually prefer the 3Ks, which are kind of going out of business right now because they just released all these 4Ks. Now, the 360 files get big, okay? This is why I actually created a software, because we found a lot of the glitches. YouTube is a little bit difficult to format sometimes. I wanted something that would auto format for me. It was just a lot of friction and obstacles. YouTube's gotten better, so you can definitely do that. You can upload them into like Google Drives, Dropbox, but it takes a long time. And you would definitely want to make sure that your clients are going to be able, when you download it, it comes across flat. It's when you upload it that it becomes like 360, if you know what I mean. So yep. The formatting is really important. Otherwise, your clients are going to be like, I don't understand. So you just want to make sure that you have troubleshot that. And we talk a little bit about that. But yeah, just troubleshooting that. You can reach out to me if it's an issue. That's the biggest issue we see across the board. Number one, formatting with upload, and number two, what camera do I buy? So I suggest getting nothing more than a 4K camera. So Insta360 is a big one. We see a lot of people going with the Insta360 the Insta360X. If you have an iPhone, I'm a huge fan of the Insta360 Nano. If you have an Android, I'm a big supporter of the Ricoh. And actually, guys, EXP has rolled out like a VR kit. And they are, right now, a lot of these cameras they come from China. So a lot of them are backlogged. So if you want to dive into this, like, you need to do it now. But EXP has a deal with iSpy 360, who also allows you to do 360 virtual walkthroughs and also allows you to do the virtual tours where you fly dot to dot, right? And that would also be a fantastic tool. That's awesome. Either way, with the cameras, there's no reason to get more than a 4K camera. And cool. Those are the two brands I would suggest.
And then kind of what's like your best practice when you're going in and shooting the property?
This is my favorite. Okay, so number one, you will be in the video, okay? It is a 360 video. So when you call me and message me and yell at me, and you're like, Lauren, I didn't think I was going to be in the video. I'm going to say, what degree do you think you were hiding in? Like, here's the tip of the day. There is actually 1 degree. So, okay, first of all, when you have a 360 camera, you're just going to hold it, guys. You want to hold it far enough away from yourself so where you're not like really close in that view, because they will be able to turn around and look at you, right? And I've had people before, it's so funny, well, they'll be like, Lauren, this was a great tour, but I'm literally staring at you the whole time. And I'm like, you just put your finger on the screen, you just move it around. Move it around. They get all angry about it. I'm like, okay, clearly should have taken a hot minute to explain that to you. Mostly it's agents, by the way. My consumers figure out, agents are like, I don't get it. She's sending videos of herself. So you just move it around, right? It's that easy. But anyway, so you want to hold it far enough away from yourself to where you're not taking up the whole back view. And then you want to just literally walk through the property like they are with you. I personally don't speak to them. I don't say, John and Mary, let's go see 1234 Main Street. I say, hey guys, we're at 1234 Main Street. We're going to go take a peek at what the home that just hit the market 7 days ago, priced at this, right? Why? Because I know I'm not only going to share it with John, but if John doesn't like it, I'm going to send it to Anthony. 15 other people. Yeah. Exactly. And that is like where the gold happens. And here's the other question I often get when I share that, John, is, well, do you get the listing agent's approval? 1000%. Let me tell you exactly what verbiage you can use to get this to work. Number one, hey there, well, in this day and age, everyone's doing virtual showings, right? Or trying to. But before this, I would say, hey, I'd like to show your property at 1234 Main Street. My client is pre-approved. They're ready to go. They say, sure, great. What time? I say, Thursday at 1. They say, awesome. I say, here's the thing. My client is unable to view in person. They've asked me to do a video walkthrough. They've seen other properties like this. They're ready to go if this is the right fit. So restoring confidence in a listing agent that this just isn't some looky-loo thing. Like, okay, fine, like go sell the house. I don't really care. Here's my next question to them. They say, wonderful, go. Hey, in the event that this doesn't work for my client, I do have a database of about 300 other people who are house hunting in this zip code. Could I privately share that with a couple of them to see if it would be a good fit for them? Sure, no problem.
Of course.
I'm not putting this out on social media. I'm not driving traffic to myself. This is a private thing that I'm sharing to bring you a buyer on this home. That is my goal, right? And I haven't gotten any negative pushback on that.
What do you say when the seller says, well, there's already a 360 tour on the property. Why don't you just utilize that one?
Yeah, so it depends, right? And this is actually, so that is a filtering system, which is wonderful, but it's an unnatural filtering system. I get agents all the time that ask, like, why don't you just use the Matterport tour? It's like, great, when's the last time you showed up to a property and flew dot to dot? Like, if we stopped focusing on good technology and started focusing on good experience, you all would sell a whole hell of a lot more houses using this system. The reason why virtual showings sell homes and the reason why I can get my buyer to write you an offer on this tour versus the other tour is that it's a completely natural experience. So it feels to that buyer that they are right next to me, that I'm speaking to them and I'm speaking to their needs. They trust me. They don't trust your tour. So if it doesn't, they trust me. So that's the thing, is that the buyer's agent does hold clout there in the relationship. It's a relationship building tool, right? If you think that, and I often say this to the agents too, right? The idea that someone will buy a house off of Matterport is absolutely wonderful. But it's also the idea that a house sells itself. Who here in the Honey Badgers group thinks a house sells itself?
Right.
Because we've had enough houses that don't sell themselves. I'm pretty darn sure, right? Some of them need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Agents sell houses, right? That's the difference. You are the difference.
I think a couple, and so that's the showing versus tour.
Yes, experience. That is the showing versus tour explanation.
I love that.
It's about creating a natural experience for the consumer, which makes them more confident in taking action.
I love that. Hopefully you guys caught that. And a couple key words there that really resonated with me was obviously experience, because that's the key, but it's a natural experience.
It's unnatural to fly dot to dot. I mean, it's a wonderful technology. It's a great insight. The dollhouse tour is absolutely wonderful, but it's not a natural experience.
I love that. So that's fantastic. So we have that. If they don't like it, we utilize it with somebody else. Kind of, let's keep moving through this process for kind of the next step.
Okay. So, I mean, once you've done virtual showings with them, so here's the thing, guys, everyone's going to tell you that they're not going to buy a house via video. Every single person. That's okay. You don't have to fight them on that. They're going to do it, I promise. So Redfin published in 2017, 1 in 3 buyers made offers sight unseen. 1 in 3, that was 3 years ago, guys, right? Our consumers begging us to do this. They're becoming so much more comfortable making these decisions, but not only that, preserving the right to make the decision, right? A lot of us are still in low inventory markets.
Yes.
So if you want the opportunity, you need to move quickly. It may not be there by the time you get there in person, right? So it's not about getting our consumers to write an offer without seeing a home. It's about increasing their context. So when the right homes come around, they can make the best decision for them and their families. So I would say probably 80% of our people who are doing virtual house hunting write offers sight unseen, and then choose the video to see the property after they write the offer. Whether it's they see it before they open escrow, or maybe we're in negotiations and they see it in person, we want to visit it again in person. Whether it's, nope, I'm good, I'm confident, and then I'm going to see it during the inspection, right? We've seen those numbers hold across the board, but we don't have to try to convince someone of that either. Just know that that's going to happen and just trust that process. All my agents think I'm crazy, and then they start doing it and they're like, really? I'm at 90%. It's like, okay, great. Just think I'm crazy. It's fine. So know that your buyers are going to give you that verbal feedback. Say, well, Lauren, I'm not going to buy a house I've never seen. I don't want you to buy a house you've never seen. I'm so sorry if I ever even gave you that impression. I want you to have more tools, greater context to make the best decision for you and your family. And that's what virtual showings are designed to do. That opposed to seeing 10 homes in person that don't work for you, you see the one home that does, right?
Right.
So, and then obviously from that way on, I think the majority of us are running fully virtual, right? So we write the offer, which is typically done through DocuSign or Loop or DigiSign, depending on what system you're running. The offer is accepted. We open escrow. The inspection, right? The majority of our clients don't need to be there through inspection. What we need is an inspector who is willing to have a virtual consult, just like this with our clients, and do a screen share through the report. Say, hey, I'm going to be here during this time, and I'm going to walk you through. And if there's a problem with the property that's over a certain degree of concern, right? And we all know what those are. I talk about the major systems: windows, roof, electrical, foundation, right? If one of these major systems has an issue, then there needs to be a recorded documentation of that issue in addition to the written report, right? So, hey, Tim, do me a favor while you're out there. If there is a major issue with the property, could you record it and just show them exactly what it is so it feels like they've seen it and experienced it in person, right? Our clients don't have to be there for them to feel like they're confident with the condition of the property. And then in California, we do virtual closings anyway. I don't think I tell people I sell houses I've never seen to people I've never met, and I have literally probably handed over keys less than 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, it is. And at that point, it's like everything can be done virtually. It's just that mindset shift that everybody has to embrace. And just to clarify, you're doing the buyer appointment first, right? Virtually first before anything else.
Yes. So cool. I did skip a step in there. Dang it. Now I want to go back. Dang it. Oh man, this is like the grand slam. Okay, you guys ready? So in between the call, hey, we're going to meet, we're going to get on this video call, right? I want to set myself up for success. So I actually send them a virtual buyer's presentation prior to us ever getting on this call, John, like when we're face to face. And that buyer's presentation consists of 5 mini videos, 2 to 3 minutes each, that sets me up to hit a grand slam. Okay. How do I work and why does it benefit my clients? Choose 5 things that you do that is different than the agents next to you, that provides a higher level experience for your client. And what do you do and how does it benefit your client, right? And so then by the time we get on this call, you know how I work, you know what to expect. And now I'm just asking you, now I'm just seeing if there's any questions that you have, right? So by the time we even get to this point in the relationship, there's so much value that has been brought. There's so much expertise that has been shown. There's so much understanding about the path that lays ahead of us and that I'm going to be walking in front of us, forging this path, that the level of trust that has been built is significant, right? So I think that that's another thing that's missing, right? Is we think that people, I see, and my agents are so guilty of this, and I kind of yelled at them this week, like, if you can choose your spouse online, you can choose your house online.
That's right.
Oh my God. No, I'm not. No. I found my spouse online. I found him on Match.com, but you know what I did? I also dated him in person.
You gotta date him. Yeah, you can't.
This is not like love at first sight, right? Where we turn around and get married. No. So that's like an oversimplification, and quite frankly, you're hurting yourself by sharing something like that. Because we may know that they are going to take this step because statistically it's proven, but we don't need to take them there before they're ready, right?
Gotcha.
And so if those parts of the process are really designed, that whole system, right, that we just talked about is really designed to increase that level of trust, increase that view of you as a valuable asset, as an expert that's going to make a difference, to lay the foundation for people to feel confident in moving forward off of those small video assets you're creating.
I love that. And so, I mean, it's just you really setting the expectation, kind of outlining the whole process. Here are the key things that we're going to focus on, and just bullet those short, real quick 5.
The biggest question I get from anyone, John, is can I see your 5 videos? Or what 5 things do you do, Lauren, that's different? Like, can I see your 5 videos? And the answer is no. Because, well, first of all, I think this is a wonderful exercise for a lot of our agents who have downtime, right? Some of us don't know what we do that's different and why it benefits our clients. And so foundationally, taking like an hour to meditate on each one of those things, I know that sounds like you're guru-ish or whatever, but really, what do you do? Like, why do you deserve to work with that client? And to be able to not only feel that, like, I work harder for my client. That's a feeling, that's a value, right? What action, we talked about this, what action is tied to that value? What are you going to physically actually do for them that is going to actually show that you are working harder, and be able to explain those things in those 5 videos?
I love that.
It's really important.
In traction, Gino Wickman on the VTO process, part of one of the 8 questions you have to answer, is what are your 3 uniques? And what he breaks it down is that, you may do the same thing as somebody, a direct competitor, somebody in the same space in your market, but not everybody's going to do all 3 things the same. So that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you unique. So I love that exercise. You've got to go through that. And for those of you that have traction or have gone through the VTO process, revisit that on the three marketing uniques. What makes you unique, right?
The other thing that separates you is your ability to communicate that.
Yeah.
Right. I can't tell you how many stages I've stood on and said, like, what guys straight up, like, what do you do that's different than the agent next to you? And everyone's like,
yeah,
it's just like silence. Right.
Yeah.
To be able to bring words to something you've only ever felt, that like I bring a higher level of ethics and integrity to my clients, right? Those are values. What actions tie to those values? Is a wonderful exercise in making you so much more confident about the value you actually bring. It will, once you have honed those things, it will change the way that you talk to your clients. It will change the way that they perceive you, because you know your system, you know your value, you know what you do that's different, and you know how it's going to benefit them. So some of you will start speaking with a lot more conviction than you've ever had, because quite frankly, 50% of your job is to save that person from the person who's not going to do that things for them.
100%.
Right? So those of you who are like having issues putting yourself out there because it's like, well, I'm nervous, I don't want to be rejected or whatever it is. I went through that until I realized what I do is inherently different, and it brings an inherently different level of value, right? A higher level experience. So now you do have a responsibility to your community to stand up loud and to share that, because what do you not want? Like, you don't want Susie, your friend's best friend's sister, to come to you 6 months from now and say, I had a horrible experience and it cost me tons of money. That's not Susie's fault. That's your fault. That's your fault for not standing up and knowing your value and being able to communicate your value in a way that's going to transcend Susie, where Susie's like, you need to talk to Lauren, because she offers virtual house signing services and she runs an optimum offer that's like beating people out in multiple offer situations. And then she does defense with her clients. So she's like saving them, protecting them money, right? When we can communicate our value effectively, then we're training our consumer, our sphere of influence, to also do the same thing on our behalf. So if we can't explain our value, what makes us think that our sphere of influence can?
Yeah, 100%. And for you guys kind of listening in that have gone through, the NAEA expert advisor process, certified home buying advisor, home selling advisor, the 7 laws, the 7 principles, like being able to pull those things apart and articulate it. We always, value unarticulated is value unappreciated. So how are you
That's
articulating and really being able to deliver that? But at that point, right? So like, even for like us, that process is one of our 3 uniques, right? There's other people that could be CHSA, CHBA certified, or have another negotiation certification, or could have this, that, the other. But when you combine all of them together, like Lauren sharing with all of us, when you combine those 5, you are truly unique than any other agent in your marketplace. So it's a powerful exercise. It's definitely, you need to, like you said, meditate on that. You need to spend some time and work through that and take a look at it. And everything that you shared, Lauren, I mean, I could see how it would transition right over to the listing side as well. And do you, I mean, you're uniques in the business and how you work. So to me, those uniques to the buyer would be the same thing you would send to a potential listing agent as well, a listing appointment,
so
right?
Just flipping it, right? So if you're interviewing for the listing position, it's more about how's that virtual showing going to protect them, right? I do virtual tours as well as virtual showings for my listings. Number one, because virtual tours are kind of expected and in my market because of the price point, right? So why not? I'm just not going to fight that battle. It's not worth it to me. I'll pay for the $500 Matterport or I Spy 360, fly dot to dot. Like, if that's going to make you happy, it's just not worth my energy to not. But I do a 360 virtual walkthrough. Because if you're not, you are missing a massive opportunity in terms of marketing yourself as a listing agent. Okay. So who takes flyers from your boxes? The neighbors do.
Nosy neighbors.
The neighbors are also going to be the people who watch that video. So when I'm walking through and I say, welcome 123 Main Street, I'm really excited to bring you this home because I've sold 5 others of this model in this neighborhood over the last 2 years. And traditionally they sell for this amount of square feet to this amount of square feet, but this home is significantly upgraded because of XYZ. What am I doing? I'm interviewing for my next listing appointment, right? I am clearly the community expert here. I clearly have a proven track record. I can cite those homes. I can cite those successes. And it's like a mini interview. People are seeing how you work and what you value as you walk through. And not only that, it is a representation that your seller can share, right? So, you know, our people are scared to connect to us because they're scared to reject us to our face. Okay. It's like, well, if you connect me with Lauren and I choose not to use Lauren, like I know I'm the mean person, right? So what's a safe way for someone to get to know me, get to know how I work without having to reject me to my face? Well, if you have a friend that's considering selling their home, feel free to share this virtual listing walkthrough I did for you, and they'll get a good idea of who I am and how I work and how it benefits my clients, right? So every time that you're walking through, so for, you know, one of the things when I reached out is the benefits of large teams right now. If you are running a large team, you should have every single one of your listings cataloged for all of your buyer's agents to be using, and it should be the team lead, right? This is another opportunity for the team lead to hold primary on those relationships. I had 6 agents running on my team. I was a primary relationship at every single deal because I used video communication. I stopped leaving the house and I started literally just having conversations like this, but still holding the same value in my client's mind because it feels like I'm everywhere. Right? When they open escrow, I have one video that's like, congratulations, your offer was accepted. I'm so pumped for you. We'll be following up with you shortly. It took me 10 seconds and I used it 100 times, right? But anyway, so with the listing side, it really is helpful for the team lead to be doing those showings. Right now, it may be easy to say, hey, I'm gonna send all my agents out to do those showings. You're missing a massive opportunity if you do. Take the time, take the energy, take the effort, be the expert that they're looking for you to be. And you sharing those assets to not only your database, but knowing that the neighbors are going to pull them and look at them will serve you well long term.
No, I love that. That's really, really fantastic. And I want to we had a question kind of come in here that as a brand new agent, as far as Facebook Live, for instance, you know, I know we touched on at the beginning of this conversation a little bit, but kind of maybe dive in for somebody that's like, what do I really share? Give maybe just a couple ideas for what kind of content to put out there.
So in terms of engaging content, I'm guessing that's what they're asking. So maybe we don't feel as confident to speak individually, right? Because maybe we don't have the track record. This may be a good example or a bad example in real estate, but Inman News has done a great job of not finding news, but reporting on news, right? So you have awesome resources like Keeping Current Matters. One of the things I suggested my agents did through the Savvy Home Buying Program is, look, we have an article that came out through Keeping Current Matters is the 5 reasons why this time is different than last time. 5 reasons why this is not going to be 2008. So why not break those 5 reasons down into 5 2-minute videos? Your consumer doesn't have any more attention span than that. It doesn't need to be longer than that. Half of you guys who are watching right now, like, it's like, oh my God, forever, right? It's like, wrap it up. But they don't have more attention span than that, right? So taking those 5 things and not saying, hey, I'm going to create one video that goes wide, meaning explain why these 5 reasons why it's different, but to create 5 videos that go deep, saying, this is what they're saying on national sense. This is the source that I'm citing. Let me share the graph with you that is shown. And now let's talk about what we're seeing here in San Diego, right? And pulling those numbers. Now you've created 5 virtual assets for yourself that's going to be great to differentiate yourself in your market. You don't have to be the news. You can report on the news. And there's so many awesome resources between Keeping Current Matters and EXP and the things that are shared in this community, that recreating it from your perspective and citing it and saying, hey, I have a great friend out of Utah. They're agent in Salt Lake City. And today they talked about this. And I thought, what a wonderful thing. You can cite that reference. And then I thought, what a wonderful conversation we should be having with our San Diego people, right? So you don't have to be the mastermind behind creating up content. you can report on other people's content, how it applies to your local market. That would be my biggest suggestion there.
That is a great, great distinction. And as we transition to wrap things up, what advice, like, guys, one, we're kind of being forced to figure this out, but like for you, like, man, like, you guys can just take action and focus on this first. Like, what would that be? And, just kind of leave everybody with as they transition from this conversation into taking action.
Whew, that's a tough one, right? Like I said, I think that there is value in showing the end actionable item, right? So offering virtual house hunting service, bringing 360 into the conversation would be the starter. If we say 1 minute video is worth 1.8 million words, that has nothing to do with 360. And there's so many more sensors happening there, right? We have the level of value from a marketing and consumer standpoint on 360 video is at its infancy in us learning about. But I'll tell you one thing, being different, being disruptive, and I think we use the disruptive as like a very trigger word, I guess, if you will, or hot word. Offering virtual house hunting services is disruptive at this point. The average agent isn't offering them. Speaking to it is disruptive. Showing it, walking through your neighborhood with your mask on, because that's what we have to do these days to show people what your neighborhood looks like with 360 is disruptive, right? You don't have to go crazy. Just start dipping your toe in there. That would be like the one single thing that I would suggest to people. And to not ask permission. Okay. So like, I think too many times we lose people by saying, are you ready to move forward? No, like, you keep moving. Like, you are their jungle guide and you are bushwhacking down the jungle in front of you, right? And as long as you keep moving and making sure that they're behind you, they're going to follow you. But some of y'all stop moving and that person's like, all right, well, I guess I need to take another path. And they start looking for another option. They go to open house. They look for someone who's offering virtual house hunting because you stopped moving and we were waiting for confirmation, right? As long as they keep moving with you, they are implied confirming. So keep moving. There's people I've opened escrow with and I've closed escrow with where I'm like, I can't believe, I don't even know how we got here, right? I didn't get confirmation once, but now all of a sudden they own a home, right?
Yeah.
You don't need that confirmation. You need to feel confidence and to continue to tell them the next step, move them through your process. And I think that offering the 360, knowing what that process is, should give you the confidence to speak to the next step and say, great, the next step is I'll connect you here. Not can I connect you here? I will connect you here.
I love that. And, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Lauren. Amazing call. And, thank you for being a true expert mentor for everybody today. And what a timely conversation. And I can't stress enough for all of you guys listening in, take action on exactly everything Lauren had shared. And for those of you guys listening in, Lauren, what's the best way that they can reach out to you to connect?
Just message me on Facebook. I'm a Facebook girl, and I totally believe in imperfect action, John. Everything that I've created, everything I've ever built has been done on imperfect action. I started my program on the side of the road in San Diego. Now we're in 130 markets, $1 billion closed. Like, super grateful my agents are seeing the success they are, but that never would have happened if I didn't have the balls to just try it, right? Try it. Just try.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys again. Thank you, Lauren. And can't wait to see you guys on the next episode.